discussion. I just have a few questions for you so that you could share your thoughts and also enlighten the participants on this call so we could get more information, we could learn from your experiences, and possibly there may be young women and men on this call who may want to serve as your mentees and strive to do even more than you've done so far in your fight against plastic pollution. So I'm going to start with Sam. I'd like to find out from you that from your perspective, okay, how does the Plastic Tide Tennis Challenge align with UNEP's broader efforts to take plastic pollution to the next level, to tackle it as an issue that's facing the community and the world at large? And what measures or what kinds of support has UNEP provided to upscale youth-led environmental action through the initiative we have currently? Thank you.
Thanks, Gosha. So just the origin of this initiative was to try and get governments to think of youth not as people you invite to an event, not as people you ask to turn up for a photograph, but as a community you invest in for power. And what we wanted to do was to think about how we invest in youth as a really influential lever that we want governments to pull. The British government have never invested in youth programming like this before, and they took a risk on investing in youth, and we felt this was a risk that was worth taking to move the agenda forward. So I would say, for me, young people need to be in every single strategy and program that we have, because if we're serious in investing in the future, then young people need to be part of the design of that future rather than just an event-based opportunity for them to come and speak on panels. And I'm so sick of that. I think UNEP is looking to think about how all of our programs should have a youth dimension, and we're looking for our next medium-term strategy to do that. The trouble is, when people design strategies, they think about the strategy and what they've always done and how they've always done it. And because young people don't sit round the table when strategies are designed, young people don't always have power and agency in those plans. What we're trying to do with Olga and other partners is to make sure that the next 5-year plan for UNEP really has young people not to the side of it, but at the center of it. So for me, for Tide Turners, this is like an approach to try and think about a more systemic way of working with young people as a lever, to think about how we work with young people as agents for change in their communities, and to think about how UNEP can open the door for young people's advocacy talent to move agendas forward in a way that needs more creative, more innovative, and braver voices to take this agenda forward. So for me, Tide Turners is an opportunity to test that possibility, but we are now starting to look to take that into different domains. And we're also now using Tide Turners as a pillar to build a much, hopefully, bolder youth strategy inside and UNEP. And the thing I would say is Inga always uses the phrase, power is never given, it is taken. And I do think youth need to take more power authentically, wisely and strategically to make sure that their agency is heard and thought through. And UNEP, in my experience, wants to open the door, hold a hand out, and give young people the opportunity to be the leaders we know they are, not of tomorrow, but of today. And that's the role that we should play. So when it comes to plastics, for me, we could put the word nature, we could put the word pollution, we could put other words in there. And for me, plastics is a gateway to test this hypothesis and to build a network of groups like WAGS and WASM and others to see what is possible. The World Association, the Girl Guides and Girl Scouts have got the best advocacy talent that we've come across out of all the different movements we've worked with. So you guys smash it when it comes to pushing politics and policy. Young girls are impossible to ignore, They never let go and they fight and they really fight for change. And so for me, you should be so proud of all that you've done. But for me, I think Doreen and I and Olga have got to honor your leadership to see how we can create more space for it and to give you the opportunity to show how good you are. And I think that's our role in this. So I'm not going to answer a question on plastics because I'm not so interested in talking about that. I'm more interested in talking about how we give you the opportunity to show all of your color, all of your light, and all of your kind of best selves to change the world to one that we need it to be.
Wow. Thank you so much, Sam. That is really encouraging. And it's very good to hear that from your end to know that this is what UNEP also, or this is how you view WAGs and our commitment and the little initiatives we put together in our small ways to create that change. It's glad and very heartwarming to know that it's valued and it's creating the necessary change that you are also seeking for the environment and the world at large. I really appreciate that on behalf of all of us here representing WAGs and other youth led organizations. I think that is really heartwarming to learn and to know. We are also proud and happy to keep working with you in this fight against plastic pollution. I'll come back to you. I want to switch over to Olga. Hi again, Olga.
Hi there.
Yes. So I want to find out from your point of view or your perspective as well, how do you think the youth at local levels can connect and influence global decisions around plastic pollutions and also negotiations such as the Global Plastics Treaty?
So my easy answer would be join CYMG if you are not a member yet. Because CYMG is the official platform to engage with the global plastics negotiations. And I want to second Sam when he said that we are so tired of event-based engagements and interactions. And we, as young people, as UNEP, and like as the United Nations system as a whole, we need to think of how to build this systematic engagement with young people. And what I really like about CYMG, we are not engaging from event to event. Like as you might think, okay, there was INC like first in Uruguay, then Paris, then Canada, South Korea, and then upcoming Geneva. It doesn't work like that. We are working night hours in the intersessional period, building the capacity of young people to engage meaningfully in the process. And by that, I really mean that we are building the capacity. We are conducting consultations on the negotiation text. We have just recently concluded two consultations on the chair's non-paper. We are providing accreditation support to young people to be on the ground. We know that the next session of negotiations is really important, and we really want to have diverse voices on the ground. And for that, we are working on reaching out to different youth-based organizations, to different NGOs, to try to find either budgets that would help young people to be accredited and be on the venue. We are looking for funding, although funding is always complicated, especially in the current political situation. But we are pushing because we know that if it's not for us, then it would be more difficult for people from the local levels to do this outreach support. And what we also do, we try to self-organize not only our youth space, but also bring and listen to the perspectives of other stakeholders. Because in these spaces of the UN, we tend to work in silos. We, as youth, work on our own priorities. NGOs are working on their priorities. Indigenous peoples, they are also thinking about what they want to bring into the space. But when we are actually there on the ground, we need to work together because only in union we can influence member states and actually have a unified positions on some of the core issues. Like addressing the full life cycle of plastics or bringing the process into more inclusive proceedings. And that's why we are organizing youth and stakeholder assembly. At first, this was a great initiative in South Korea and Busan, where we collaborated with the local university to provide us with a venue where we would bring both local young people from South Korea, mostly from Busan, but also from other regions, to come and learn about the plastics issue and how they could engage in global negotiations. But later on, we invited all other stakeholders who expressed their interest. And within these spaces where you bring different stakeholders together, you can find unified approach and also find strength in numbers and your kind of finalized position. So I'll stop here and we'll listen to other perspectives. And I'll share more about how you can engage with CYMG and plastics negotiations in the chat.
Okay, thank you so much, Olga. That's also very inspiring, and I'm sure there are lots of people on the call listening here who would love to join the CYMG. So please watch out. Olga has promised that she's going to put the way to join CYMG or other relevant information, and look out for that if you are interested in that. Over to you, Fariha. Hello, Fariha. We would want to
Hi.
find out from you if you could briefly share with us your PTTC journey. How has it been like? What has inspired you along the journey? And how did you get involved? We'd love to hear that.
Thank you so much, first of all, Shruti, and all of you. Hello, everyone. I'm thrilled to share my PTTC journey with you. I got involved with the Plastic Titan Challenge after learning about the devastating impact of plastic pollution on our ocean and communities. As a young person, I felt empowered to take action and make a difference. Through PTTC, I have had the opportunity to engage with like-minded individuals, develop valuable skills, and implement initiatives that promote sustainability and reduce plastic waste. That's all. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Fariha. That's nice. That's a good one. Honorable participants on the call, you are hearing from someone who has done it before. So you should learn from Fariha's story that nothing is impossible. You just need to take that action and be interested to create that change. And with a little support, you will be able to make that. Hi, Huda.
Hi.
Yes. We also want to understand from your end, as we are discussing youth leadership and the engagement of the youth in areas where decisions are being taken, or at roundtables where major decisions are being taken, as Sam and Olga have rightly mentioned, that we want to see that world where the youth are taking active participation in decision making and not just at the receiving end after the decision has been taken. From your experience in this plastic tide and journey and in the challenge, what does youth leadership in environmental action in that area, what does it truly look like on the ground? You could use Kenya as an example so we could better understand what youth leadership in environmental action looks like.
Thank you so much, Toshia. Kenya, as youths, we are at the forefront actually to make the Plastic Titana Challenge active. However, there are some challenges that we face, especially from the older people at the community level. They feel like you are doing it too much for us. Why can't you come out with some handouts so that we can listen to your gospel? I say gospel in quotes. So they have this challenge of, why are you bringing it to us now? they fail to understand that climate change affects each and every one of us. And this climate change is mostly the plastics are part of what part of what is causing climate change. So, and then there is some part of ignorance from the people. You can have your bins at the, let's say, at the marketplace. You've labeled them the biodegradable and non-biodegradable waste, but they just ignore. They just say, that's your work. You are the youth. You are just doing your work. So why should we segregate this waste at the marketplace instead of you doing the work? So there's some bit of ignorance. However, there's light at the end of the tunnel. For example, in schools, I can brag of two schools that have just done very well in plastic management. One is Marindi High School in Nyamira County. You just walk to that gate, you have your plastic bottle, you just have to leave it with the gate man, because they have just said that this is a plastic-free zone. You don't have to come with plastics to our school and maybe just throw them anywhere. So, and then there is what you call about in schools, for example, in primary schools, when you are trained to be, as a girl guide, to be a PTTC child and any champion, we give you 3 months. You come with someone whom you have influenced. You've told about Titanic. How can you reuse this plastic? How can you reduce it? So it's something that we are on progress of ending the 11 million tons plastic from our rivers, from land. So we are trying it out to make sure that everyone is switched out through the peer-to-peer teaching among learners in schools.
Very good. That's good. And kudos to your team for helping a whole community as a school, or because that school can be considered as a community because there are lots of different young women and men in that space. Thank you for your efforts. Kudos to you for turning them, changing their mindset to, and also accepting that that space will be a safe space without plastic. I hope and dream that in a few years to come, we will have lots and lots of these spaces, and the world at large would agree that we should reduce our plastic use, especially single-use plastics. Thank you so much. So I'm coming back to you, Sam. If you could, I'm going to give each and every panelist 1 minute or 2 minutes, your final words to us. What do you want to tell us as youth, as young women, as young men, as people joining from different walks of life on this call? What will your last words to us be?
I I think the first thing is just you can only be who you are, so just be your authentic best self. People like stories, and people like people that aren't perfect, that are like them, and try to do their best with hope and humility. So the first thing is just be yourself, be authentic. That's number one. The second thing is just be tenacious. I love what Huda said, which is old people sometimes have old ways, old habits, and don't always hear what they need to hear. But I do think tenacity is a key asset, just to keep going. Because sometimes they say, like, first they'll laugh at you, then they'll chase you away, and then they'll finally start to listen to you. And I do think for me, youth needs the tenacity to keep working and keep going, keep pushing. And I think Olga's a great example of that with all of the work that she's done. And the third thing I'd say is bring these values into your life, and whether it's your career and the jobs you move into, whether it's the conversations you have with friends and family, always think about being an environmental leader or a leader on any issue. Is about bringing it into every different touch point. So for me, the key values I would say are authenticity, be yourself, tenacity, push hard. And the third thing is try and bring it into all the different things that you do. So there are three things that I would offer. And my last thought is I think the Girl Guides movement has got something special in it. But the way I work best is when I'm pushed. Like when you say, oh, UNEP, You do a nice job, but you could be doing so much more. Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? But I'm not pushed enough. And so my invitation to the WAGS movement is to push UNEP more. If you're not getting what you want, tell us. If there are things we're not doing, we should be doing, tell us. We cannot do everything. We might say no. But I think for me, you should be a lot more irritating for people in positions of influence to make sure that you're heard. I don't think you're irritating enough. I think you're too nice. So I would say push harder, kind of get in people's faces, say, look, come on, we could do so much more. You're not giving us the tools. And sometimes that's the way that change happens. So stop being so nice, be a bit pushier, and let's see what we can do.
Okay. Wow. Thank you so much, Sam. Thank you so much. From you, we are taking that we should be authentic, we should be tenacious, and we should bring these values into every space in our lives. And I'm going to talk to my leader, Rojo, my manager. Please, Sam is saying we should be more pushy. So just take note that we are coming stronger. Yes, we are coming much more stronger. Hi, Olga. Your final words to us in this panel discussion.
Yes, so I will again second Sam that you need to be authentic. You need to be yourself. People are not interested in engaging with your superficial image that you create for other people. People are drawn by your stories, people are drawn by your experiences, and young people do have lived experiences, so do not be afraid to share them. My second thought is that do not be afraid to speak up, but always speak up with humility. And also do remember that you might not be always speaking up for yourself, but for all those people that are behind you, for your community, and for all those young people who might not have the ability to be in your place or with you at that particular moment. And always keep an open mind. You never know when a right opportunity will come up. You never know when you will meet a person who will inspire you further. So always be mindful of that and always be eager to learn and be curious. One of the things that people would think about, for example, barriers to enter this space is funding, visa barriers, or, for example, uh, what else? Accreditation. But actually, from me interacting with young people, the greatest barrier for engagement is knowledge. Not everyone is aware about engagement opportunities. Like, not everyone is aware about the issue of plastic pollution. And you have this agency to educate other people, to empower other people, to be there for them. So you have that power to create your own space for your own agency. And don't be afraid of creating your agency or finding your way for influence people. Don't wait for others to create that space for you. It's always on you to find your own way. And I will end here.
Wow, that's amazing. Thank you so much, Olga. Thank you. You have highlighted that we should keep an open mind and we should be eager to learn and curious. It will take us far. Indeed, that is true. Thank you so much, Sam and Olga. Over to you, Fariha. What are your final words for us on this call and on this webinar today?
First of all, I'm agree with Sam and Olga, and their stories is very inspiring. After that, I'm adding our advice or my thoughts to you people, in which my advice would be to start small, be constant, stay focused, identify what you are passionate about, and find like-minded individuals who share your vision. Don't be afraid to take risks. Ask questions and seek guidance. Remember, every small action counts and collective efforts can lead to significant positive change. Stay informed, stay motivated, and most importantly, stay committed to creating a better world for all girl guides and all the people in this world. And one more thing I'm going to add related to this day. Happy World Environment Day. Girl, guys, today and every day, let's take action to protect our plant, reduce, reuse, recycle, inspire others to join us in creating a more sustainable future together. We make a difference. World Environment Day. Happy to all. Thank you.
Thank you, Fariha. Thank you so much. Yes, indeed, we have to stay informed and we have to stay consistent once we start small to create the necessary change that we seek. We should stay motivated. We should be free to ask questions. Let's ask questions when we don't understand, and we would get the necessary support to make that, to create avenues for those change, for the change that we see. Thank you once again, and happy World Environment Day to everyone, and to you, Fari, as well. Happy Eid, because I know today is that of Eid, so happy Eid.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you so much.
we share in your happiness as well. Hi, Huda. Hello,
Hi.
Huda. Yes, your final words to our honorable participants and listeners on this webinar.
Oh, thank you. Thank you to Sam and Olga for assuring us that you are the voice of today and the future. That assurance means a lot to us. And then for me, I can say as the change makers, we can also, as we're trying out, even if we are going out to shopping, you can practice what you know. For example, having a durable shopping bag, it's the small change that people can copy from you. As we try out to see that the plastic menace is coming to an end. It may not end today, tomorrow, but at least we curb the effects and and to be more specific, we mind where we put our waste. We lead by example by doing the small practices that can change the world and make the world a better place to be. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I am super happy to have you all joining me for this panel discussion. Sam from the UNEP, we are very grateful. Olga, also from UNEP, the CYMG to UNEP, grateful for your time. Fariha from Pakistan and Huda from Kenya, thank you so much for joining us. Your words have been informative, they have been educative, they have been inspiring. Yes, and I'm sure most of us on this call are supercharged to take whatever action we have been doing in the past to combat plastic waste or plastic pollution. We are charged to take it to the next level. Sam has encouraged us that we are not too pushy, so we are going to push even further. We are going to lobby, we are going to sit at more tables for discussions and even push further. We are going to take our fight against plastic pollution to the next level. Olga, we are coming stronger, so please look out for us, the youth. We are coming in different directions to create the necessary change. Faria and Huda, thank you so much for your time. I'm really grateful for your time on this call. On this panel discussion. Thank you so much. We've really learned a lot, and we're grateful to have you. Please, if you have any questions for them, you could pop it in the chat box. We would have a time where we'll address questions and answers. I'd like to also just say once again that if you have any suggestions, comments, or questions, please post it in the chat box. This is the PTTC Youth Webinar, and if you have just joined us, we are just rounding up with the panel discussion. We had Sam from the UNEP, we had Olga from the UNEP, Huda and Fariha, both plastic tide advocacy champions. Fariha from Pakistan and Huda from Kenya. Thank you all so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. So at this time, we are going to also listen to two amazing young women who had an opportunity to embark on a journey to Sangam. Sangam is one of the 5 world centers of wax. It is located in Pune in India. Lena Barry Joel is a PTTC advocacy champion from Madagascar, and Winnie Imwai is another PTTC advocacy champion from Kenya. Both of them had an amazing opportunity to volunteer in a community program in Sangam where they interacted with the local community in India and worked with an organization like Swash. And so they are going to share their experience. Stay tuned, don't move, and just enjoy what information they have for us. Hello, Lena.
Hello, everyone. My name is Lena Barry Joel, and I am from Madagascar and member of Nazareth. And I am so happy to be here with you today within this webinar. I had the amazing opportunity to be selected for the Plastic Tighter Challenge and to take part in the Sangam community program in Pune. And I spent 1 month at Sangam as a Tari, which means star in Hindi. And this experience has really changed my perception of plastic pollution in real life. So before coming to India, I had already started taking action in my local community back in 2021 during camping and unit activities. I led a small awareness sessions with my fellow girl guides and even the local villagers. So we had an activity where we are doing community awareness and community activity. And we also reused plastic containers as flower pots to decorate our church garden. In that time, I didn't have photography. I don't have picture to show you that, but I just want to share you my experience when it started. And with my regional team, I also have delivered trainings and community talks about plastic pollution and simple ways to reduce it. I know it was just small action. Actually, I'm thinking about it, and it's like a small action, but actually, my message is everyone can do something starting right where they are. And I really believe that even you are just starting to not using plastic bottle, it's already a big step for the change. And I encourage you to take all the small steps and don't think that it's not, you have already the power to change even your community. And Madagascar is heavily affected by plastic pollution. That's why, particularly in my case, I'm mostly interested in the program PTTC. And people are not really aware. It's like a normal thing for them to see the waste everywhere and throwing it just like this. It's just a small detail of the reality, but plastic pollution issues start from producing, then consuming, and then throwing the waste. And each of these actions is problematic and cause the plastic pollution issue. That's why we have to move, we have to take action in our level. Like from producing, it's the level of the government, like they have to act on it. Consuming is in our level, and throwing also is in our level. So we have to take action in our own level. And one person alone cannot stop plastic production or global consumption. But together, small actions and promoting alternatives can turn the tide locally. Like imagine in Madagascar, for example, 22 millions of people stop using the plastic bottle just in one day. imagine the impact of 22 millions of portal. It's a big impact. It has a big impact. So one person alone cannot stop it, but together we can do it, and our voice matter. We must also advocate to decision makers for a real change. So thank you, Scotia. I pass to Winnie, the speaking.
Thank you so much, Lena. Winnie, over to
Yes,
you.
I hope all of you are doing well. It has been a very nice session so far. It is very, very nice. So, my advocacy journey really began and was influenced by the leadership that I really got from the Kenya Girl Guides Association. But my curiosity was mostly sparked after I completed my high school, when I now went and studied fashion. So in the process of studying fashion is when I started being now conscious about just how much littering the fashion textile company is. But before that, I was always just a person of telling people, don't litter, don't litter. I even realized the first person I impacted was my dad, when he one day told me he was somewhere with his friends, and one wanted to throw something out the window, and then he remembered they were just keep on telling him, just carry the trash home to go and dispose of home. And also, to echo what Sam has said in terms of just being authentic, I feel that I have also experienced, because I have a slogan where I sometimes tell my friends, that one plastic, you're killing, that is one more fish you're killing. So that way as just as a small thing of saying, but you find people are actually accepting it consciously. So when I studied fashion, I started checking, because like Kenya is really, really littered with second-hand clothing, which is a menace, because you find we have like the Nairobi River, and it is very, very packed with textile and the waste. So in the efforts of me joining an association called Clean Up Kenya, when we are just planning about weekends, we plan cleanups, we go and clean up the Nairobi River. That is when now I started actually now seeing the truth about the plastic pollution that is really happening. And I remember at the time still checking, and I realized, but textile is not actually classified as a pollutant. And you find that this fast fashion has a lot of plastic garments percentage in terms of material. And around this time, because I'm also big on the advocacy of against to create awareness about period for poverty. I found myself thinking, what small changes can I do at my own level? That is where I started now taking this some of these like decorated, like let's say Ankara fabrics, or the ones with high cotton composition, and just you find that you add just a small thing to make it a very nice reusable pad. So that began now as also a journey of me contributing towards the reduction of plastic. And during this time is when now the PTTC challenge came up, and that is when I joined it at around 2021. And after that, now I really, really became passionate, because before you just even just throw trash, you just don't really think about trash, because let's say the county government will have the roads swept, so even if it's dirty, you'll find it clean tomorrow. But you hadn't before you really get into this, you had not really thought about, okay, it was cleaned, but where did it go? That is where you start now realizing about, like, for Kenya, the how we have very, very, very large dump sites, and even some of the containers that come do not even come for our consumption. They actually just, it's people who throw trash, and they actually come and dump at our dump sites. So we have a very, very big waste issue in Kenya. And this PTTC really helped me see, it's actually not such a big, it's a big thing, but I can actually start like in my community. Because of the toolkit, you're able now to see how you can just break it down to a school going kid, so that now these ones can also influence, because like me, I had the experience of influencing a parent. So you also try this because we largely do this in schools and in colleges or in churches. So and then around this time, I also now in my rural area, we have this plastics, the soda bottles, soft drink bottles. So you find that I found which is the fastest way I can create like a small system that is working. So what I did was have people throw the people who don't need the plastic bottles. I had them throw them, not throw, put them in some place where it can be collected. We have collection points just in my small village, and that way people who are now selling on a daily basis, people who have cows sell fresh milk, and also there is also the sale of liquid soap. So if they're now going to the vendors and telling them now, please stop using the paper, polythene paper to pack the small amounts of milk or soap, just use these bottles that we have from here, cleaning them. This way, it's something that is working and no money is being spent. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how I can just continue and just continue as I continue training, just to see how it can scale up. Yes, thank you. Now, Lena.
So, those are our Sangam experience. As you can see in the pictures, we had sessions with the people, with the girls, Parrot Girl Scout in the first picture, and the schools in Pune, one school in Pune, where we shared our material to girls. And you can see in the third and fourth picture, the materials that Swatch used to collect the trash and the waste, and this is the local point where they are collecting all the trash they are collecting. And my Sangam experience, yes. Okay, so being a Tari was so much more than just volunteering. As you can see in the picture, a world of possibility. Yes, Sangam has this motto, and it was a journey of learning and growing and connecting across cultures. And in that time, I and we were sharing the materials that we were creating to the Sangam staff, and it was so enriching and fun. We were doing it during the chai time, which is the tea time, and also working with Swatch grounded our materials in real needs. And yes, we have also we lived in a global sisterhood at Sangam. We were not just I and Winnie. There's a lot of people like from UK, from Australia, from all around the world, and I shared everyday life with girls and women from all over the world, and it was eye-opening and joyful. And it was also the first time for me to celebrate the World Thinking Day in a different way. Like, it's exciting to share that when I talk about World Thinking Day, I said I already celebrated in a World Center, and it was so much fun. And I keep it in my heart that I had an excellent in Sangam. I also discovered I discover also another talent. As you can see, me doing drawing a hand, it's a mandala. I didn't know that I can do it, but it was just a discovery that I can draw like this, and that was just amazing. And we did an Indian afternoon drawing mandala, Bollywood dance, so much fun. And personally, this journey brought me challenges like stepping out of my comfort zone. You see, when I share to this Bharat Girl Scout, I'm feeling the power. The power comes when I am talking and sharing to these children. And also, I see changes in the eyes of the girls, and they also have the power to change. Even they are just kids, they have so much powerful messages. Like when we were practicing our material and activities, they have a lot of ideas. So we don't. I encourage you to think about the kids also. They have a lot to say about plastic. They gave a lot of solutions that they can actually use in their home that you didn't think about, and it was so inspiring for me, like sharing with the kids. And I came back not only with knowledge but with courage and the belief that small actions can create a big change. And next, yes, the last one is the life in Pune. It's just the pictures showing our activities during the Indian afternoon. Yes. So Winnie.
Okay, yeah, to really support what Lena is saying, like this was beyond learning, this was also culture immersion. And now, when we went to Sangam, we were attached to a community group because they have a few community programs that our associations they are attached to. So ours was Swatch, which is a collective for waste pickers, and it is largely the largest labor people who work here are women. And just to give you a brief history, Swatch was formed in the early 1970s when people when India works in caste system, so the people in the lower caste moved from the rural areas and went to the urban areas because I think at that time there was war, or there's why they were moving, the caste were moving, land was being grabbed, something. And then when they move to the urban areas now, because they are the really lowest of people, forms of people, like there the caste system is real, so they can't even get jobs even as house managers. They can't get odd jobs because how can I employ you as a watchman? They are viewed as very dirt outcast people. So them themselves stayed and decided, you know what about we start now collecting waste, and then we create small fee to these houses. But even at that time, they were still met with a lot of negativity, and that is when they started forming corporations to actually make it an actually dignified job. And if you think about waste keeping, even in our own countries, we mostly do not even think about the person who is collecting waste. You just know, like for example, if you're living in an urban area, you just know that you pay for trash with your together with your rent. You don't think that the way you've put your food and the plastic bottle you used, you have not even thought about the person who's going to sort it. So really working with Swatch showed the importance of waste segregation from the house point. So like I think I can go to the next slide with the photos. Here you can see the top left photo, you can see here we were being shown just how the process starts, how they collect waste from door to door, and how the women use this push cart. As you can see, the photo next to it, there's two buckets, just how she sorts it before. Now she takes it to that cage where Lena had commented about, where now the other people are going to come and take, the people who now buy in kilograms, depending on what they are going to use it for. The photo down here, these are the swatch management, and this particular area you find is where multi-layered plastic is taken, and they actually say they have to process it every day. Like this, all this multi-layered plastic behind is only waste for one day. They can't even take two. If they use 2 days, they actually say the whole area has to be we won't even have a place to stand, and that is just the waste result of one day. So here we really learned a lot about separating and how it improves, and how that separation is vital when if we want to recycle. And this lesson was very important because remember the core initiative going there was creating material where now they can actually use and teach the kids about plastic, and then the people are actually going to relate with it. So like here, we see the picture in the middle, you can see women who are sorting it to HDPE, PPE, and then they only use one kind of plastic. So here they are going to just melt it and make pellets with it. And then those pellets are now going to be sold to manufacturers. And then I think we have experienced we have experienced the like for us we have buckets, we have the things, the buckets and whatever that you buy that are either red, green, so they are sold, they make pellets to sell to those manufacturers. Then on the right you can see a woman who's picking through vegetable waste. So they actually do composting at apartment level. So they do this in terms of societies. So within a society they have one place to compost, because India, most of them are vegetarian, and so they actually do composting. Another lesson, I think we can move to the other slide. Yes. So that was just an overview of what happened with Swatch, and then the key takeaways that I observed was like local action really does create impact. Like you see, like how Swatch is really community led. It is people who in the community themselves. Like for example, the thought of me living in an apartment and then there's composting being done. Even at the thought of me just going to look for a house and I find composting being done, automatically I'll start thinking the way it's a dirty place. But really Swatch really, or the people in Pune really showed me about just how also, because they were involved. Remember, they were involved from a while back, so it has been culturally absorbed. So just how their mental state has just changed to agree and just see like waste segregation as something normal. Because even when they were picking from the houses, very few people had mixed up the like the dry waste with the wet waste. So that was really incredible. Then people-centered solutions matter. Dignity, knowledge, and the resilience of waste pickers inspired me. And then, because by now, after the 1970s, by now they have already formed societies and they have like protective gear, and they have like the parents who started and then they educated their kids, and their kids were able to move up the system. I don't think they can really move up the caste, but they were able to actually like get other decent jobs, like go to school and study something else. And then, like for example, there was this biodegradable. They had a biodegradable system because most of India are vegetarians, so you find they have a lot of vegetable waste. So this particular plant was using the vegetable waste. What caught my attention was that the woman who was actually she has just to feed the vegetables, like you saw the other one in composting doing, just to feed that, and she does that for half a day, and then she receives the sum of 15 to 17,000 Kenyan shillings, and that really like sparked something in me, because just think of how many people work an 8 to 5 or even 7 to 5 without even medical insurance, and this person is able to do this just because they have dignified. So as much as we are doing we are creating awareness about plastic and whatever, we should also think about how can we include even those people who are already in the service of waste picking. Just how can this be a dignified way of somebody earning a living, not like a lack of, just not like a new way of like a lack of result. Then awareness, because the creativity that is brought up by how you're going to deliver, and just storytelling, just helping people imagine and immerse themselves in that, really helped. And then circular thinking is essential, then which is like upcycling and segregation and composting. You should not just use them as words, like now just throwing it and saying the way we are going to recycle or upcycle. Is just really how can we have an all-round thing that is actually functioning after we are done with the advocacy. And just to echo even what my other people had said, youth voices are really powerful. So all this is just really involve the youth, involve the community, and just also approach it with a lot of respect. Yes. So those were the few takeaways. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much Winnie and Lena, it seems you'd had an amazing time in Sangam, with all the information you gathered, the experiences you had, and how waste is plastic waste was collected, how it was managed, how it was recycled, and the wonderful and amazing things Soch is doing there in India. I know you have lots and lots of learnings you've taken back to your various countries, and I'm looking forward to hear the many success stories you're going to be doing in your various countries, and we'd love to share with you sometime some of your success stories, and probably maybe the next call we could share more of your success stories and how we could also pick a few learnings from that to implement a few projects on our end. Thank you so much, Lena and Winnie, for your time and your opportunity to share with us your learning from your volunteer program in Sangam. I would at this point like to open it up to everybody. Thank you so much for hanging on for us. This is time for our question and answers. If you have any questions, please feel free to pop it up in the chat if it is directed to any of our panelists, whether it is Sam, whether it is Olga, whether it is Huda, whether it is Fariha, or any of our volunteers, if it is Winnie, if it is Lena, or even Deborah, if it is Deborah, Doreen, sorry, anyone who has spoken or shared some enlightenment with us today. If you have any question, this is the time for you to either pop it in the chat or you could raise your hand and we will give you the opportunity to pop your question. Hello, everyone. We are ready to take your questions. Let me see from the chat if there's any question. I think I see one from Hazika Saeed. Okay, two participants have also raised their hand. What are the environment and health impacts of plastic pollution? Is there any of my speakers who would love to take that question for Hazika Saeed? What are the environment and health impacts of plastic pollution? Okay, Fariha, I see your hand is up. Would you love to take that question? Hi, Fariha.
Yes, actually, I have a question from Lena and Vani. Related to their journey, it's really amazing. They have learned a lot from Sangam. And it's that what inspired you to participate in the Plastic Tide Channel Turner's Challenge, and how has the experience shaped your perspective on environmental conservation, which you have learned from India visit?
Okay. Um, what is? Can you hear me? Okay.
Should I repeat it? If you want, then I will
No,
repeat it.
and I have heard you. You have asked what inspired. So what inspired me was just mainly curiosity. I really was curious to see because I feel like we have done a lot of advocacy, and it was also an opportunity I saw to test myself in terms of creating this program in a new place and just seeing also what I'm going to bring back home.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing your experience and journey with me.
Thank you, Fariha. Lena, there was a question in the chat box. Would you want to take it? What are the environment and health impacts of plastic pollution?
Okay.
Hello, Lena. Okay, I think her network is down. Sam, would you want to help us with this question? What are Okay, Lena is back. Or Sam, you could share as
sure.
well. Yes. What
So,
are the environmental and health impacts of plastic pollution?
So, in terms of the environmental impacts, I think it has a significant impact on ecology. So, for many marine species, if they're affected with waste entering their ecosystem, that can be ingested, particularly with birds, which we see quite often, and they have this false sensation of being full and they're not. Impact on marine animals and species that could be entangled, particularly with ghost gear, with large species like turtles and others. So it does have a catastrophic impact, significant plastic waste in our marine ecosystem, but also on the personal effects. Microplastics, the evidence is showing more and more the ingestion of microplastics is having impacts on human health, whether that's in terms of pregnant or expecting mothers, how it might have an effect on lactation and other effects there as well. So I think for us, there is emerging impacts both on human health as well as ecological impacts as well. And we have to remember that people are part of nature. So when it has an effect on nature, it does have an effect on us. And in many urban cities, I know, particularly in Nairobi, where I've spent a lot of time, the impact on flooding, the impact on extreme weather events. If we allow plastic pollution to kind of congeal around different environments, it can have major effects. We saw last year, particularly in Mathare slums and other slums, when the water came down really hard in Nairobi City, it had a massive impact on people, and people lost their lives as well. That's not purely down to plastic pollution. You can't attribute it kind of cleanly, but the way that we leave our waste lying around does have impacts on us in many different ways. So yes, it's serious and it should be treated more seriously than it is. And I do think there needs to be a lot more policy around upstream to reduce the production of virgin single-use plastic, but also downstream with extended producer responsibilities to make sure that the waste that is created by certain manufacturers is then collected and then reused by manufacturers as well.
Okay, thank you so much, Sam. This is very interesting to hear from you, and thank you so much for educating us. I hope your question has been answered. Asmara, I think that was your question. Please, does anyone else have a question? Do we have any other questions? Okay, I see another one in the chat. The person is asking, and I will throw this one over to Winnie. Where can we find ideas to Girl Scouts projects to become advocates? Winnie, you're muted.
I don't know if the person is Kenyan or if they're not Kenyan. There is a website, though where the website that is for the World Association has, in most countries, it has a member organization. So they're most often than not, there is a social media handle for the said organization in whichever country you are. If it is in Kenya, for the Kenya Girl Guides Association, the headquarters are found in Nairobi, right next to the Arboretum Park. So just in Nairobi, next to the Arboretum Park. And even if you check on Facebook, if you check on Instagram, if you check online and just check Kenya Girl Guides Association, there is a lot of information, and you can see a contact number where you can call and now come and see, because programs are so many. Again, it depends on the direction you want to choose of your life or what feels inspiring. Even if you have that gap here, it's good you can just come and immerse yourself in things, and you know what, at the end of it you might realize something that is actually inspiring.
Okay. Thank you so much. Okay, there is another. Thank you so much, Winnie. So Winnie has informed us you could check on the WAG's website, and as well, if you are located in a country that has a WAG's, that is a WAG's member organization, kindly locate that member organization using the country's online handle for their social media presence, and then you can be have information to whatever projects they are running, and you could be an advocate so far as you align with that particular project. I can see two participants have raised their hands. Fariha, hi Fariha.
Hi, Scritia. Actually, I
Yes.
have read the question from the question chat, and there is a question: what approaches can we go about in order to convince people, especially when they are accustomed to use plastics? I want to answer this question.
Okay.
Um, Convincing people to change their habits, especially when it comes to deeply ingrained practices like using plastic, can be challenging. Like using plastic can be challenging. Here are some approaches you can consider. Likewise, raise awareness, which we already have discussed, and one more: lead by example. Show others that living with minimal plastic use is possible and beneficial. Make it convenient, provide accessibility and affordable alternatives to plastic products such as reusable bags, as our girls already working on it. And in Pakistan also we have started work on it, and other sites also. Emphasizing economic benefits, highlight how reducing plastic use can save individuals and business money in the long run. Tap into emotions, share personal stories as we are going to share from this platform, and involve the community, organize community events, collaborate with influencers, and partner the local influencers, implement policy changes, advocate for policy change such as banning single-use plastics, and one more point is offer incentives, provide rewards or incentives for individuals and business that adopt sustainable practices and reduce plastic use. Celebrate success, acknowledge and celebrate the success of individuals and communities that have made significant reduction in plastic use. Remember, changing habits take time, and it's essential to be patient, resistant, and supportive throughout the process. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you all so much for the question and answer session. And thank you so much too for joining this call today. Just a brief wrap up for what some of the learnings we have taken today. We have heard from Doreen initially. She letting us know and highlighting that PTTC is the biggest platform for UNEP to fight plastic pollution currently, and we are glad to be part of that fight. Doreen also highlighted that the youth are the change for tomorrow. Therefore, if you are a youth on this call or you are aware of any youth, please encourage the person to keep pushing, because we want to have a world that is free of plastics, or a world that we have very minimal use of plastics so we could save the environment. We also heard from Olga, who is a youth um, um, or who mentioned that we should always keep our minds, we should keep open minds, and we should be eager to learn and curious. We shouldn't hold back. We should take advantage of opportunities so we could highlight the youth participation in all aspects of our lives. Some further highlighted areas where UNEP is investing in the youth, and encouraged us that we need to be in every space. We need to be authentic, we need to be tenacious, and we need to apply all these values in every aspect of our lives. Fariha, who was one of our panelists, also further admonished us that we should stay consistent, we should start small, we should not think that we need to create a big project before we can create the change. We should start small, and once the information, the advocacy is growing, the change will become larger, and we will create a better and happier world for everyone. We should stay motivated, we should stay informed. Who was also one of our panelists, further admonished us that we should be the change we can, and with the little that we do, and we should not be discouraged by the comments of older generations because they would see it as it is our job as the younger ones to actually do the job. But in the spirit of we trying to create necessary change, we should embrace their negative comments and forge ahead because the goal is creating necessary change in society. We were also blessed to have Lena and Winnie, who were Sangam volunteers, share their experience on how they were able to learn from Swatch in India on how they manage plastic waste and undergo recycling and composting. Um, at this point, I would kindly like to motivate each and everyone through my words. I'd like to encourage you that whatever change you're doing or whatever change you're engaging in, whatever discussions you're engaging in, don't be discouraged. We have a goal, and the goal is to reach more lives and cause them to be more conscious about plastic pollution. So we are still not yet there. We have done some work, but we still have a longer way to go. So please don't be discouraged. Just keep pushing in your own small way, and we will one day be smiling and have happy hearts and pat ourselves on the back and say, we have done well in this fight against plastic pollution. I would at this point also like to invite you all, if you are not aware that the Plastic Titanic Challenge, we have a digital gallery. The link will be shared in the chat if you have not contributed to it. On the screen, we have, you could clearly see the digital library, the PTTC digital library. This library showcases some of the different stories from the different MOs that are engaged in it. So we invite you all to join our digital library, visit it, get inspired, share some information and also pictures of what you are doing in your space. We have the opportunity to share videos, you could share pictures, and you can share different forms of art regarding the fight against plastic pollution. At this point, I would like to finally call all of you on this call. This is a call to action to know that we have started a good fight. We are not yet where we want to get to, but don't be discouraged. Keep pushing. And in every space, you get the opportunity to influence decision makers. Take advantage of it. Let everybody do get the opportunity to understand. Let them use it as an opportunity to highlight the fact that the youth are the futures of tomorrow, and we are going to create that necessary change we want to see in the world. Take advantage. Let's hear your success stories. When you have these opportunities, keep pushing our agenda of creating an environment free of plastic. So once again, you could see the on the screen, you can see the QR code to the digital library or to the digital gallery. Please do well to join and share with us so we could also share in your glory. At this point, I would like to hand over to the WAGS program, the WAGS program lead or the program manager for the the UN Challenge Badge. She is in the person of Rojo. Rojo, over to you.
Thank you so much, Scotia. Dear everyone, what an inspiring journey we've shared today. On behalf of the World Association of Girl Guides and Girl Scouts, I want to thank you all, speakers, families, advocacy champions, and participants, and our lovely moderators as well. Thank you for making this webinar a space of learning, hope, and action. A special thanks goes to our partners as well at UNEP, the United Nations Environment Program, represented today by Doreen and Sam. Thank you so much for your continued leadership in global environmental action and for championing youth involvement in shaping a greener future. Um, we also deeply appreciate the presence of CYMG, the Children and Youth Major Group to UNEP. Thank you, Olga. Your voice and engagement are essential in bridging generations and amplifying youth priorities at global decision-making tables. Thank you so much. Today's discussion reminded us that young people are not just participants in change, they are drivers of it. Whether you're leading local cleanups, advocating for policy change, or designing new solutions to reduce plastic pollution, you are showing the world what real leadership looks like. As someone personally committed to seeing young people thrive, I can say that I'm incredibly proud of each of you who stood up today and shared your voice. Your courage, your clarity, and your commitment are a reflection of the future we are building together, a future led with purpose and hope. At WOGS, we stand with you through the Plastic Tighteners Challenge and beyond. We remain committed to equipping young people to lead, serve, and protect our planet with courage and purpose. So let today be a spark that lights up new collaborations, strong advocacy, and lasting impact. Thank you for being here, and let's keep turning the tide together. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all so much for joining today. Thank you. Thank you, Rojo. Thank you, Anna.